Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6 series finale. I just got done watching it. So this is going to be a true reaction video, which means that it may be kind of all over the place. We'll see how I do. But just the big things that kind of come to mind about my big reactions on this. I think I'm overall pretty satisfied with it, at least right now. That may change as I analyze it more and really kind of pick it apart. But overall, I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. I think the only big thing where they really threw me for a loop was Bran as king. But as the rest of the episode went on and the rest of the pieces started falling into place, I got to like that more. It was just, I hadn't really ever considered Bran for king, so that it felt like it came out of left field for me. And as soon as Tyrion started talking about it, I was like, seriously, Bran for king? But then as it went on and I started thinking about it, there have been a couple of significant moments that we've had between Tyrion and Bran. One was in episode 2 when Tyrion asked Bran for his story.
You've had a strange journey.
Stranger than most.
I'd like to hear about it.
It's a long story.
If only we were trapped in a castle, in the middle of winter with nowhere to go.
And so my assumption is that Bran sat down for a few hours and told Tyrion his entire story. So Tyrion has a whole lot of background to Bran that no one else has. And then they had another short interaction in episode 4.
You know our history better than anyone. That will be useful as Lord of Winterfell.
I'm not Lord of Winterfell.
You're the only surviving true-born son of Ned Stark. You don't want it.
I don't really want anymore.
He basically told Tyrion that he didn't want power. So those two things combined, Tyrion has the knowledge of Bran's story. He has the knowledge that he doesn't want power. To me, that second one, for me as a person, like, that's big. And I think that that's why I have gravitated towards wanting Jon to be the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, because he didn't want power. I think one of the best traits in a leader is not wanting power, actually. I think people that want power, like Dany, people that feel entitled to power, they are not good people to hand power to. They are the types of people that power corrupts. This is part of the reason that I haven't been like super for Dany for a long time. I've been more in the Jon camp for a long time because Dany does all this conquering and she feels so entitled to the throne and she feels it's hers by birthright, by name. And there's this sense of entitlement there, and there's this desire for power and this desire to rule. And just because you have a desire for it doesn't mean that you're necessarily good at it. And you might, in fact, be bad at it. And that's why I've sort of always gravitated to Jon as being the much, much better choice, because he never sought power. I mean, he ended up in positions of power constantly and kept throwing them away. You know, he was Lord Commander. He walked away from that, threw that away. Then he became King of the North. He walked away from that, threw that away. Then he finds out that he's heir to the Iron Throne and he throws that away. You know, so Jon absolutely didn't want power. And I feel that that is a good trait for someone to have, to hand them power, because they're less likely to abuse it. So in that sense, I think Bran is probably just as good of a choice. And when I started going through the characters, there's not really anyone else that's maybe as good of a choice, really. They gave a good reason why Tyrion can't be king. And it's true that half of everyone would hate him for serving Dany and the other half would hate him for being a Lannister and being Cersei's brother. So he's not a good choice. I picked Sansa. I thought they were going to make it Sansa, and I thought it was going to be some kind of an election system, which was good. I called a couple of things in a way. It is going to be some kind of election system moving forward, so I think that's good. Not full-blown election, but still, at least electorally done by the nobles, at least, so someone's voting. That's better than it just being done by birthright. So it's a step in the right direction, and it did move toward election in that way. And then Sansa did become a queen, just not the queen I thought. She ended up Queen of the North, but that really makes sense for her. It's a better power position for her, and it makes sense for Sansa to stay in the North, actually. I like her better up north than at King's Landing. And then I was very happy, elated, in fact, about Arya, because that's exactly the way I wanted Arya's character to end. I was so happy about that. And if you've watched my other videos, you know I actually talked about that, I think, in my review of episode 4. And her little scene that she has with the other woman where she talks about what's west of Westeros. I called the line before she even said it tonight when I was watching. I called the line. So I was so excited that Arya ended up sailing off into the sunset to go see what's west of Westeros. So that was beautiful. And in that same review video, I think it was my episode 4 review, I also said that I could see Jon ended up riding off into the north with Tormund and Ghost. And yes, that worked out the way I wanted it to, actually. So if Jon wasn't going to be king, that was the ending I wanted for him. I really felt that Jon belonged in the north, the real north, like even more so than Winterfell. Like him being part of the wildlings and part of the true north is, or what they consider the true north anyway. I think that that's a very, very good ending for him. I was actually very happy about that ending. And yeah, I was happy about Sansa being queen too. So, and Tyrion's hand, that works for me. And I called the council before they even walked in the room, which was cool. Or not the whole thing, but I called Davos and Samwell. I figured they'd be on council, and they're great. I was happy to see them. Bronn was a little bit of a surprise, but he's going to be the difficult one on the council, you can tell. And yeah, just overall, I kind of like where all the characters landed. Now, I know that I am going to be able to go through this and pick this apart later. I absolutely know that. I've already thought of a few things, but I'm going to keep this video positive because this is sort of my initial emotional reaction, which is mostly positive. The only negative I had emotionally during the watching of the show was when they started talking about Bran being king, and I got over that as it went on. So that's my takeaway, my emotional takeaway from it is all pretty positive. And I'm probably going to do a follow-up video that will pick it apart a bit more and probably discuss some of the less realistic elements or things that might be problematic that I know that I'm going to find on further evaluation. And then I'm going to do something really negative, kind of. I try to stay positive and I try to stay away from the negative, but this season, I think, deserves an everything I hate about season 8 video, because there are some criticisms, and I think that most of the viewing audience has some serious criticisms about season 8. And I will talk about some things I love there too, but that's going to be predominantly criticisms, and talk about some of the unrealistic elements, some of the character development problems and things like that they had this season. But I'm not going to say that the series finale saved it, but right now my emotional feeling after watching it is more positive than negative. And so I'm walking away happier than I expected, which, considering they did kind of lower the bar this year, it's not, the show started out on a scale of 1 to 10 back in the beginning, first few seasons. It started out as like a 20. And I hate to say, but D&D, Disney's picking them up for some writing, and I hope Disney rethinks it, because I think that the show was good while they were working off of George R.R. Martin's writing, and it has suffered since they took it over. But I should leave the rest of that criticism for another video. For this video, the takeaway for the series finale is definitely more positive than negative. I'm pretty happy how things worked out for several characters, and overall I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I'm interested to know how you guys are feeling about it. Write down in the comments below. Hopefully everyone is mostly happy. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be 100% happy, but hopefully we're not all ticked off like we have been after several episodes this season. So hopefully everyone's mostly happy, but let me know below what you think about it. And if my other videos that I talked about that I'm going to come up with have any interest to you, please do make sure you hit that subscribe button with a little notification bell so that YouTube lets you know when I release those videos. And thanks for spending the time with me today. Hope to see you all back again next time.